Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Date today is the 14th of April, year of our Lord 2025. Welcome to yet another edition of the Coping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Single, a.k.a. Motown Noah. Got a nice show for you guys today, because we took an entire week off. The Coping Hour was just MIA for an entire week. Now, I did make a community post on YouTube about this. As is customary, if there's ever not an episode when you're expecting that there's an episode, just check the Motown Noah community posts, and there will be some clarification there. I think what I said a week ago was like, hey, there's not going to be a Monday show. Friday, maybe? I don't remember what I said. I kind of just pulled the pin on the grenade and was like, no Monday show, and then I don't remember how I danced my way out of not doing Friday show. I don't think I ever definitively said that there wasn't going to be a Friday show, so I apologize for that. I'll explain very briefly why there wasn't, and then we'll probably circle back to it at the end of the show, because if I start doing the whole thing now, then I'm going to fuck up the vibes at the beginning of the show, and I don't want to do that. Maddie, my girlfriend, the mother of our beautiful child, was out of town for the entire week. She was in sunny Los Angeles training for a new job that she just took, and so I was solo with my kid for the entire week, and I just didn't have the mental capacity or the time to sit down and fuck around for even 2 hours to do the show. So again, we'll talk about all of it at the end of today's show. But in the meantime, like, it's crazy you don't do a show for a week. I know there are some of you sickos out there that the second that the Coping Hour intro came on and you hadn't heard it for a week, it was like fucking, you just injected some shit. It's like heroin is essentially what it was. I took some notes, though. You miss a lot of shit when you don't pod for 2 times a week. Like, if you don't do it for a week, I took notes for like all of the stuff that I missed. So the Pistons officially clinched the 6th seed. UCONN women won the Natty. Also, Florida won the Natty. We're not going to cover that. Western Michigan won the national championship in hockey. Leicester City drew against Brighton. Some major implications there. Declan Rice and his free kicks. That's all that I wrote. If you were watching the Champions League, you know what I'm talking about. Ovi's goal record. Mike Malone got fired. Morant. We found out why Taylor Jenkins got fired, and it maybe has to do with Morant. I put Masters with a question mark, because as of, literally an hour ago, as of this taping, Rory McIlroy won the Masters. And then the last thing I wrote was another kid tried to kill Trump. All that and more on today's episode of the Coping Hour, folks. I missed you guys. What should we start with first? Well, why don't we just go in order? Yeah, the Pistons. They did it. They fucking did it. They're in the playoffs. Not only are they in the playoffs for the first time in 6 years, riding a 14-game, I think is what it is, 14-game losing streak in the playoffs. Haven't won a game in the playoffs since 2000. Is it 8 or 2009? So there's a lot on the line here. But again, not only did they make the playoffs, they secured the 6th seed. Now, there was a world where they got the 5 seed and they ended up playing the Pacers, but then they smoked the game on Friday against the Bucks. Whatever. I literally don't care. They're not in the plan. And I feel like if I start to talk about like the scope of the Pistons even getting the 6th seed in the first place and the significance of that, I'm worried that it'll end up sounding like a eulogy, and I don't want to do that until they end up losing in the second round to the Celtics. So instead, what I want to do, instead of focusing on like how did this even happen? Because we've softly done that all year, just like chronicling how actually good they are, right? What I instead want to do is just take a moment, Pistons fans, if you'll just take a deep breath, and say with me out loud on the count of 3. You don't know what I'm going to say, but just your reaction to the Pistons making the playoffs. 1, 2, 3. Holy fucking shit. I can't believe this. I cannot believe that this is my life. We may do a little bit more of an extensive sort of playoff outlook in the next episode once the play-in is done. But as it stands, I got to be honest with you. I'm feeling not just confident, but like almost sure that the Pistons are going to win against the Knicks. Because if it's not just because they kicked the shit out of them literally all year. What was the 3-1, I believe, is the Pistons' record against the Knicks this season? They smacked them a week ago. Isaiah Stewart made Karl Anthony Towns look like a little ass motherfucking kid. The Pistons also have the best player in this series. I don't know what we're supposed to, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really know what we're talking about here. And you talk about, like, the identity of both of these teams. I don't know. We have floated out there for the last, like, month and a half, ever since it was like, oh my God, the Pistons are actually going to do it, and they're actually going to make the playoffs. There is zero chance that Isaiah Stewart does not get suspended in the playoffs. There's I don't want to say that he doesn't get suspended. I'm not positive that he's going to get suspended, but he's 100% going to make some headlines. I think that's the take. Is it more likely that Isaiah Stewart gets suspended because he picked up too many? I don't know. I think he has to be at the top of the league in technical fouls. Maybe even flagrant fouls. That's something I have not checked in on literally all season. So this is coming to me in real time. I have no idea. Is it more likely that he does some Kelly Olynyk breaking or dislocating Kevin Love's shoulder type thing to, like, Karl Anthony Towns? Well, I'm getting my fucking wires crossed, because I was going to say, is it more likely that he makes headlines or that he gets ejected? Well, but it would be kind of the same picture. You know what I mean? It's kind of the same thing. If he breaks Karl Anthony Towns' shoulder, he dislocates it, he's probably going to get suspended. But here's the thing. I'm just telling you right now, if that happens and the whole world is like, this guy's a villain and you shouldn't root for him and he has an anger issue, because that's what they've always said about Isaiah Stewart. This guy is a problem and he shouldn't be in the NBA. I'm letting you know right now that when that does happen on this show, we will not be denouncing that behavior. We will be encouraging it, especially because at that point in the series, the Pistons will be up. What do you think? Don't let them win game one. Do not let that happen. Don't let it happen. Do not let Cade Parker Cunningham go into Madison Square Garden for his first taste of postseason action and just kill them. And kill them. Don't let it happen. I'm telling you, don't let it happen. I believe that this series will go back to Detroit 1-1. I don't know what. And by the way, if it does happen, if they're 1-1 and it's going back to Detroit at LCA game 3, it's tied 1-1, it's a wrap. It's already over. The Pistons fucking won. If the Knicks get the first two, we'll start talking about it. We will start talking about the very soft possibility that maybe it is not going to happen. But I believe in my heart, and this isn't like, it's different when the Lions showed us all year that they were one of the best teams in the NFL. And then in the first round, well, technically the second round, but the first game that they played in the playoffs, they lay an egg. I don't want to fucking do this again. That whole history. But you guys, if you've listened to the show and if you care about the NFL, you know what happened with the Lions. It's not the same thing. Like, my confidence with the Lions is not the same thing as it is with the Pistons. Because I feel like, in some sense, they're kind of playing with house money. They've been, like, you can fuck around. I don't know how to articulate this point, but it's like, they have outkicked whatever expectations people had for them this season. And at this point, it's kind of like, just throw the balls out and let's see what they can do. You know, I think this is a weird series because it's probably going to come down to, this sounds dumb in the modern NBA, but it is, like, statistically, I think it's going to come down to, like, which team makes their threes. Because in this calendar year, in 2025, both teams have been weird with attempts and three-pointers made, and I don't know, it's weird. And it doesn't make any sense at all. Because if you look at the Pistons, let's start with the Knicks, because I'm going to sidetrack myself on the Pistons. You go with the Knicks, it's like, I don't know, they have Mikal Bridges, and they have Jalen Brunson, and Karl Anthony Towns is, like, he's probably one of the best shooting big men, well, he just is, of all time. But they just don't make that many threes. Their conversion rate is weird. And then with the Pistons, it's like, I don't know, like, what's Tim Hardaway Jr.'s numbers on the? Well, I don't know. He played against Milwaukee today. You got me fucked up if you think I watched that game. You're at game number 82 for the Pistons. At that point, the 60 was already locked up. I didn't watch that game. You got Cade, who's like a fine three-point shooter. You got Fontecchio, who's like, what if there's a moment for Fontecchio in this series? What if we've waited all year and we've kind of done the thing like every other week where we're like, wait, did we get tricked? What is going on with Simone Fontecchio? And then it's like, I don't know, a year ago we traded for him and maybe it was like a small sample size, and then also the team sucked and it was like literally nobody else was going to shoot threes. or get looks from the perimeter, and except for him. And I don't know, maybe that's all that it was. I don't know. It's been weird with him this year. I don't think anybody's given up on Fontecchio. I certainly haven't here in this household. But if he has a moment in this series, I think that would be nice for him. Got Malik Beasley, guy who I believe this is how it ended up shaking out, is that he is going to finish second in the NBA in made threes this season. Malik Beasley for the Detroit Pistons, who signed for like $5 million, finished second in the NBA in made threes. Now, he should have finished first. Do you know why he didn't? I'm kind of mad. I got a little bit of beef. Minnesota. Got a little beef with you guys. You guys got a second? Lend me your ear. So Anthony Edwards in game number 82 plays 40 minutes and chucks 18 threes just so that he can beat Malik Beasley as the three-point champion this season. I haven't tapped in too much on like the discourse, but I did see on Reddit that apparently Wolves fans are being assholes about this on Twitter and on Reddit, and are like, oh, Malik Beasley is bitch made, and it's been a weird week for Malik Beasley because there was a whole thing that happened with Giannis the other day where he felt like he got sunned by Giannis, and it was you talk about something that I haven't been plugged in on. I don't care about that at all. I like Giannis. I'm not gonna. There's not that many things that Giannis could do, even to my team. Like, short of punching Cade Cunningham in the face, that would make me dislike Giannis Antetokounmpo. Did you guys see though that on a hot mic, Giannis was like, boop, boop being the gamer word. Boop, what the fuck are you talking about? And you hear Cade go, God damn, I didn't know he talked like that. Did Cade think shit was sweet with Giannis? That motherfucker's a killer. Giannis is a killer. Like, he's a nice guy, and, you know, when he's in the media and he's, like, tapping a bell that says blowjob on it to his wife. Sorry, Grandma. It's just social media, culturally, it's a thing that we have attached to. Giannis had I'm not explaining this to you. It doesn't matter. He's a funny guy, but, like, he's a killer. Right? There's nothing that I didn't care about that at all. Giannis doing a little shimmy, whatever. I don't care. And Malik going on Twitter and being like, I'm a grown-ass man. You are, Malik, but like, keep doing your thing and don't let this get under your skin. It literally does not matter. How the fuck is Damian Lillard playing basketball? Did we get... towing the line here. Do I want to make a joke about Damian Lillard lying about blood clots, and then after the Bucks were like, well, we'll be fine in the play. I don't want to make this joke. Damian Lillard apparently ramping up to come back into the playoffs. I don't know. So I said all of that just to say I'm a little bit irked at Anthony Edwards right now, which is a guy that I would otherwise, it would be hard for me to have a problem with him unless you are somebody that has paid very close attention to the baby mama drama that Anthony Edwards has. What was it, like 3 kids in like an 18-month span? And then all these texts it's like every 6 months for the last year and a half, there's a woman who will go public with a bunch of texts from Anthony Edwards where he's just like, get the abortion. I'll send you the money. Like, hell no, can't do this. We just had another batch of those texts come out, like, I don't know, was it a month ago maybe? The guy, he said something about, like, I don't remember what the quote is, and I don't want to defame him any more than maybe I already am. I am in my feelings because I wanted a Piston to be leading the league in threes, and then Anthony Edwards was like, actually, I'm the future face of the league. I gotta make all of these threes. Shut up. How about that? Put a bow on the Pistons conversation. Yeah, I think they're going to win a series. We'll talk a little bit more about it on Friday. But it's like, I don't know, Cade's the best player in the series, and I think if this was a year ago, I think it would have been Brunson, but now it's Cade, and I don't think it's close. I think it's hard to stop a guy who knows how to get to his spots, and he knows when to do it, and he just knows how to beat you. I don't know. And I think that's the thing that maybe makes them a little bit... What's going on with Ivy? I guess he, maybe like a week ago at this point, word to Bobby Shmurda, it was about a week ago that we got word from the medical staff that Ivy is ramping up his return. And then it was like, we'll reevaluate him in 2 weeks to see. So we'll be in the middle of the series, probably, maybe like a game or two into the series with the Knicks. And then Jaden Ivey might come back. I have conceptually no idea what that could look like. The stretch of games that Ivy played this season would suggest that he would be a massive addition to a Pistons lineup that is in the playoffs in Madison Square Garden playing the New York Knicks. So we'll see about that. What was the second thing that I had on the list for you guys? Maybe just to let's stick with the NBA for just a second. Yeah, Mike Malone got fired. What the fuck? Huh? We didn't have a chance to talk about that. I guess we kind of did. I did a video. I did a standalone video last week. For those of you who maybe didn't see on the Motown Noah YouTube channel, I did like 8 to 10 minutes. I don't remember how long it was on Devin Booker shit and just other miscellaneous trades. By the way, I think I'm putting a pin in the Devin Booker stuff until after the playoffs. So like around whenever the Pistons make their playoff exit is when I'll start to ramp it back up again, especially depending on how that exit actually happens. But I'm definitely there's a moratorium on Devin Booker talk. I talked a little bit about the Mike Malone stuff in there. It's just weird. And I guess I'm confused because at least when Taylor Jenkins got fired, there was like stuff that came out about it. Maybe I just haven't seen the right dialogue on this. But all I've really seen is that people are like happy about it. And then who's the owner? Is it Kroenke? Is that who it is? He was like, yeah, we wanted to do it at the All-Star break, but the Nuggets were on like an 8-game winning streak, and he was like, man, you just can't do it now. And he wanted to fire the GM too, Calvin Booth, Mike Malone. Wanted to fire both of them. He's like, I can't do it. You don't think, and then the fucking audacity of Nikola Jokic. Be like, yeah, I found out a little bit before everybody else. It's because you fucking put the word in, brother. There's no way he didn't. You think Mike Malone doesn't get fired if Jokic didn't co-sign it? There's literally zero chance. There's no way. I'm shocked because I thought that Mike Malone, a coach for an organization like Denver winning a championship, I thought would have not like a lifetime contract, but I thought that he would have a lot more lenience. I thought he would have more leeway than like being 3-5 within 3 years removed. When the fuck did they win? 20 was the Lakers, 21 Bucks, 22 Warriors, 23 Nuggets. That sounds right. So 2 years ago. We're 2 years removed from them winning a championship. And because they were like fine, they were just fine. I think firing the GM would have been reasonable because they've done nothing. They got lapped for 2 fucking years after winning a championship. They did nothing. And now, but it's Mike Malone's problem. But then the word comes out that he's, quote, not missed, unquote. And that this is something that people are like, yeah, we thought this was going to happen. I'm just shocked. I would have thought, like, it's one thing, if you get what I'm saying here, like, if it's the Lakers, if it's the Knicks, right? You have one of these coastal elite giants, these historic institutions. It's one thing for, like, one of their guys to win a championship. Like, Frank Vogel's a good example, right? Wins a championship for the Lakers, and I don't really remember the timeline on when he got fired, but he didn't last too much longer after that, right? And it's like, yeah, I don't know. There's sort of like a, what's the phrase that I'm looking for? It's the Lakers. It's a brand. And so the absolute microsecond that you are not successful, we have to pull the plug and we have to go find somebody who is. But I'm like, if you're the Nuggets, who is going to be better than Mike Malone is, I think, the question that you would have had to have asked before making this official. And you would assume that since they have now made it official. So I'm just then this report comes out that's like, Mike Malone reportedly not happy with getting fired. Really? Unemployed man in distress, making headlines around the globe. Jacob, a.k.a. Rusty Buckets, just texted me. What did he just say? He said, what are your thoughts on the Knicks matchup? That's funny. He'll have to listen to the show. And then he can. Would that be funny if I just send him a link to the show and I send him a timestamp and I'm like, here's how you can find out, and do a little bit of that's so corny. That's not fucking funny at all. And honestly, Jacob, you completely derailed my train of thought that I was on. I do not remember what I was talking. Mike Malone. It's about Mike Malone. Yeah, but there's another thing, honestly. Okay, so we have 2 coaches randomly getting fired with inside of 10 games left in the season, right? In the last 2 weeks of the regular season, 2 coaches of playoff teams get fired in the NBA. One being Mike Malone, and then the other one being Taylor Jenkins. Taylor Jenkins getting fired from the Memphis Grizzlies. We did kind of talk about this, I think, in the last episode that we did, and my sentiment was like, I don't care. I don't care because it's not actually an interesting story as to why I got fired. It's crazy, but it's not interesting. I think I've put a pin in it. I think I've figured it out. I don't think it had anything to do with this assistant coach. Oh, this offense that Taylor Jenkins was running, it wasn't even his damn offense, and so then the Jaws usage rate and all the blah 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 has nothing to do with anything. I think what we saw immediately after Taylor Jenkins getting fired was a Morant who had been let loose. They took the leash off because what did that motherfucker do? I think Taylor Jenkins was the reason that Morant wasn't allowed to do guns, and goddamn it, I'm going to say it. Because what happened? Taylor Jenkins gets fired, and is immediately like, bop, 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 bop. He hits a three, and he just starts fucking blasting. And the NBA was like, the league office was like, don't fucking do that. Chill, Morant. We've been through this before. We're like 2 years removed from you brandishing a firearm on Instagram Live. And then we very kindly asked you not to do that again. And then like a month later, you fucking did it again. And then you never did it again after that. And then he got onto the court, and then was it against the Rockets? I think that was maybe the second game. The NBA slaps him on the wrist after the first time. And it's like, hey man, your history was, it's a normal celebration is the funny thing, is that it's a thing that people do, and it's like not that crazy at all. Doing like guns or whatever the fuck. People do that. It's not anything other than literally just a celly. That's all that it is, right? But you kind of have your Morant. It's like, yeah, but this is kind of the thing that you've like, maybe. Blah, blah, blah. So the NBA is like, don't do it again. The next game. What was it? 4 minutes into the game, hits his first shot. And what did he do? If you hadn't seen this and you haven't heard about this, let me demonstrate it to you. Morant, Jahadist Morant hits a shot, and he very eloquently goes, ba, 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 ba. That's what he did. So the NBA said, that was not chill, and we're going to fine your ass. And then he did something brilliant. Morant is like, word. I'm Morant, and I can't do guns anymore. But you did not say I couldn't do grenades. You didn't say, NBA, that I could not do grenades like bomb style. And so now his new celly is will hit a three, or maybe he'll throw down some shit, whatever, right? And when he's going down to the other end of the court, he'll pull the pin, he'll throw it into the crowd, and he'll cover his ears. Now, his explanation of this celebration is that it's something to the, I don't remember what he said. It was something to the effect of like, I'm like saying something and then like throwing it out there, and then I'm covering my ears to all the noise, or like eating my own words. I don't remember what it was. The way that he explained it was actually kind of like, that's funny because you could actually pass it as that's what you're doing. But like, let's be real, Jahadist Morant, you're doing a fucking grenade. I can't do guns. I'll do grenades. What's one more level? Because to be honest, does it seem like explosive ordnance would be before or after guns? Yeah, that's a good question. Before. No, I don't know. I'm not going to try to work it out. I'll be here for a goddamn hour trying to figure out like, what's crazier, guns or explosives? Could you do like C4? Maybe you dunk on some guy, and then while he's doing the inbound pass, you get on your knees behind him, and you put both your hands on him like you're planting a you squeeze his cheeks a little bit like you're planting a Morant's not going to do that. Morant is not going to get behind like a Steven Adams type character, honk his butt a little bit, and be like, I'm putting C4 on Steven Adams. I think everything in the last couple of minutes that I've laid out is what my conclusion has been on the whole Taylor Jenkins getting fired thing. Was like, I need to do guns again. I'm jonesing. If I don't get to do guns again like really soon, I'm for real going to start blasting. Do you want me to fake blast? Or do you want me to for real blast? Memphis Grizzlies. And they were like, they succumbed to the pressure. And you talk about motherfuckers in Tennessee succumbing to the pressure. They should have taken a page out of well, wait, hold on. How does this work? I was going to make a Nico Imealiava joke about how Tennessee just let him walk. My wires are getting crossed and I don't really know where the joke is. Well, it was another thing. If we're sticking to the NBA, that was it. We covered it. That was the NBA. UConn women's team winning the national championship. Can I do a tight 3-5 on this? The University of Connecticut women's basketball team wins another national championship. They did it. Paige Bueckers, national champion before going to the WNBA. I believe she'll be playing for the Dallas Stars. I don't know the last time that I felt like there was a player for UConn that was like the it girl. And my entire life has been the University of Connecticut, both men's and women's, but if we're being for real, the women's team has been all-time historic under Coach Gino Auriemma? Under Coach Gino, an institution, right? Who was the last UConn women's player that I can think of that was like, dog, they didn't lose a game for like 4 fucking years when I was in high school. It was crazy. I think that was when Breanna Stewart was there. And Paige Bueckers, her entire career, I think it was last year that she blew out her knee and she had to sit and, you know, she didn't declare for the draft, which was the right thing to do because she wouldn't have gone number 1 over Caitlin Clark. But she will. She's hands down number 1. I just think there's something to be said about a woman sort of returning this institution, this aforementioned institution, to its glory that we sort of just expect from them, right? Like when you think about UConn women, and it was, I think, because for years there was not as much competition as there is now. I don't know if that's NIL or if that is just like, I don't know, women are just picking up the basketball. And so there's just, on aggregate, just more of them, right? But I don't think that there has been a team that has been as dominant as them in the women's space for my entire life. Now, though, you have like South Carolina and you have like, I don't know, who was it when, I'm really trying to think, like Stanford was kind of good back then, like 10 years ago, Stanford was kind of good. I think Notre Dame, like Arike Ogunbowale was good. But now there's so many more teams in the mix. And so I think for UConn to triumph and to be like, the women's tournament is so goddamn funny because the talent disparity is such that like, you can't upset people. You're not beating UConn, right? Because when, I don't know, I'd name a team. I don't know. It was a stupid team. Like if Texas State A&M Eastern Central was playing UConn in the first round, it's a 0% chance that they're going to win again because of the disparity on these rosters. So yeah, just shout out to Paige Bueckers, man, friend of the program. And there's also something to be said. You know, we like to talk about culturally, like Allen Iverson, what he meant to basketball and how he sort of transcended. Like, I'm not trying to sound annoying here, but like Allen Iverson transcended race. You know, and like his influence was like, white kids were getting like little pasted on, you know, like the little temporary tattoos all over their arms. They were wearing headbands. Like kids were getting braids. They were getting cornrows that like didn't have hair that really supported it. And so like aesthetically, right? Like the influence that Allen Iverson had, it is not to be understated. It's not on the same level at all. But the influence that Paige Bueckers has in the same way, like, you see 9-year-old girls going to these games with, like, Paige Bueckers braids, right? You see grown-ass women sitting in the student section or wherever the fuck wearing Paige Bueckers braids. I don't think that's nothing. I think that people are able to identify with her and they, like, feel compelled to emulate just who she is and how she looks. I think that's really, really cool, and I think it's exciting for the W next year. I mean, actually, I mentioned Arike Ogunbowale. She plays for Dallas, I believe, still, and so Paige will just get to be her teammate, which rules. Let's see, what else do I got on here? copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically, email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to this program. We got a lot of emails about Ovechkin breaking the goal record. We don't do a lot of hockey segments on this program, but this one is important. And we actually got 2 back-to-back from one of the many Jacksons that listen to the show. Jackson, Welcome back to the show. He actually sent in 2 emails. I'm going to read both of them. Sort of an unprecedented moment here at the Coping Hour. I'm actually going to read both of the guys' emails because I think they're both funny. Well, the first one is, I'll just read the fucking emails. Jackson, what's up, brother? Subject line, hockey illiteracy. Hey, Nick. Following Ovechkin's goal record, First Take did a segment that instead of centering around this enormous accomplishment, they compared this record to LeBron's scoring record. Hockey can't catch any break. Can we not just celebrate hockey for once? Why do you think hockey is viewed in the way that it is in the current media landscape? Is it because many people as kids don't play it due to the enormous startup cost compared to basketball or soccer? Lack of rinks. Maybe it's too Canadian, too hard to watch, and too hard to understand. And finally, Nick, answer the First Take question. Which record is more impressive, LeBron or Ovechkin? I don't want to kill your vibe here and say I think it's LeBron. I really do. When you just contextualize it. I mean, like, here's the thing with the Gretzky shit is Ovechkin breaking Wayne's, like, all-time goal record. It's something that I don't want to say we'll never see again because I'm sure we will, right? It may take a long time to do it. Maybe not, actually. Austin Matthews could probably do it within the next 10 years. I think Austin Matthews could do it in 10 years. You need a little bit more time than that. I think Austin Matthews is probably the guy to keep an eye on for that. If there's anybody in the league right now, is what I mean. I think it would be him. I think it's LeBron, though. It's just the longevity of his career and how he's going to... Because, like, what is it with Ovechkin? How much more is he going to add on to it to the point that nobody can touch it, right? Because I think that's the point that I would like to make about the LeBron thing is, like, we have no idea how much longer he's going to keep playing. I softly think that next year will be his last year. I think he will make an announcement at some point in the next 6 months that indicates that it's going to be it because he's going to do a huge farewell tour. He's not just going to abruptly announce it, halfway through the season. He will get his flowers and make it a whole fucking song and dance for the entire season, right? But in the process of doing that, like, he's going to put Kareem's record in the dust. The same way that Steph breaking Reggie's 3-point record with, 6-7 more years left to play is, like, he's going to put so much distance between those two numbers. There's just no way. So maybe that's sort of the point here, right? Is, like, how much gas is left in the tank for Ovechkin that he's going to put this number in, like, an unfathomable and unreachable spot. Because, like, yeah, okay, one of Gretzky's records got broken. He only has 999 more of them. You know what I mean? Why is hockey viewed the way that it is? I think the barrier of entry that you pointed out, I think is probably part of it. It is still, I mean, when you talk about the big four in American sports, we include it. You talk about barrier of entry, soccer, we don't include that in America. Like, we talk about it on this show, and we'll probably end up talking about it in this episode. No promises, but maybe we'll get to it, right? But it's like it's just so fucking expensive to play soccer in America at the level that you need to in order to make it to not even Europe, right? Not South America or Mexico or wherever, right? Even to play in the MLS, like, it's not that easy to do that, and you just have to spend a lot of money to do it. I wonder if maybe some of it, too, is that the NHL just does not care about social media, and they have so many rights issues with, like, clip sharing, and that detracts from people being able to get engaged in what's happening, right? Because the NBA and the NFL have got the MLB has caught up to it very slowly, but they've gotten there, right? But the MLB, the NFL and the NBA were sort of the first ones to the whole, yeah, you can use our clips, we don't care. Like, you can make content with our clips. The NBA is definitely the loosest with it. There's a reason that you don't see that many, like, hockey YouTubers using a ton of footage because it's hard to do it without getting a strike, right? And so when you make the highlights and the clips and the games as inaccessible in fear of, like, legal retribution from the league, I think that, you know what I mean? You're just not able to expand to, like, a broader horizon. I wonder if maybe that's part of it too. But then the second email that you sent here, brother, I thought was funny. Subject line, red, white, and paranoid. To my dearest Coping Hour Nick, a.k.a. Motel Noah, Ovechkin just broke... Yeah, we just talked about this. After the game, my dad and I called to talk after he mentioned that as a kid, I was deathly afraid of Ovechkin, and that experience had totally slipped my mind. Now, why was I scared of the Great Eight? I blame it on growing up in post-Cold War America, where every Russian is a spy. Growing up, I couldn't enjoy hockey without suspecting espionage. He wore the Capitals red, in all caps, and of course, he played in DC of all places. I think that this is why, as a kid, I never really hated Crosby. He was the clear enemy of that sleeper agent on the Capitals. Please tell me how to unlearn Cold War brain. Sincerely, Jackson. You put Jack. You want me to call you Jack? Jackson. Brother, there are so many Jacksons. I don't know if I'm going to remember that you're Jack, but I'll try to put a pin in that. That's so goddamn funny that a guy was so... Like, propaganda is a hell of a drug, honestly. I was the same way. I don't think this is really something I should be saying on the show, or maybe I should keep this to myself. But, like, we're doing a trust tree right now. I remember growing up and being, like, 10 years old, and the word Muslim was scary to me. Because that's what America was in the middle of. Is we were like, they like to blow shit up, and that's it. That's, like, their whole deal. But then you, like, become a real person, and you're not just, like, I don't want to say a victim of your surroundings, but I don't know. When you're a kid, you're super impressionable, and when people tell you how the world works, you tend to believe them because you don't know it any other way. You become a person, you're like, what the fuck was that all about? You guys didn't want me to like them? Why? Because they're brown? And because, like, some people blew up the World Trade Center? Well, both of them. And then they collapsed, and then we spent 20 years in a fucking war where 10 million people died, and I'm not supposed to fuck with... They didn't even do anything. They didn't even do anything. Most of the Russians, by the way, during the Cold War, did not do anything. I goddamn tell you what, though, Jackson, you want to get into some really interesting shit. In the JFK files that got released, what was it, like a month ago at this point? I found a document. I have screenshots somewhere on my phone. There's a CIA document, like a memorandum? What's the word I'm looking for? Where they were like, straight up, this is how what's the word? This is how to pull off psychological warfare in Russia. This is like Cold War era shit, right? And so the CIA was trying to figure out how to set up low frequency radio broadcasts to the Russians to like condition them to be like, we hate our government and we're pro-America. And it's been a month since I've read it, so I don't really remember. This is all coming to me right now. Just interesting to know that America was like in the trenches trying to figure out how to indoctrinate Russian citizens to fight against their own government, which is something that in the modern age is clearly being done to America on the Russians' behalf. I think it's so funny that this guy was so conditioned by Russian or like anti-Russian propaganda that he's like, I can't like Ovechkin. There's no way. I'm sure that if there was a guy in 2007 in the NBA who was named like Mohammed Al-Bashir, I would be like, I'm keeping an eye on you. But then by the time I was like 15, I would have been like, what was I mad about again? You seem like a really nice guy, Mohammed Al-Bashir. This guy that we just invented on the... That's a fun 2K career. I'm not going to like make a series out of it, but just for my own personal. Mohammed Al-Bashir. With a hyphen, Al-Bashir, A-L... I don't need to spell it out. You can probably figure it out. I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't think I should have read the second email because I'm not going anywhere with this. I'm sort of treading water. While there's also a host. copinghourSubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to this program. We actually got this one, under the wire. I'm going to deviate from all of this stuff I was going to originally talk about today. Because Lev, our 11-year-old field reporter, our lovely correspondent brother of Akiva, has once again emailed the show from his mother's email. And Lev wants to know, subject line, how old makes a person old? Hi, Nick. It's Lev again, Akiva's younger brother. I was wondering, how old makes a person old? Well, there's no single worldwide agreed upon age for old. I consider people 65 years and older to be in their elderly years. As a convention, a person aged 65 years or more is often referred to as elderly. See, here's the problem with this is I don't know where, Lev, I'm going to cuss for just a second. So will you, Akiva, will you do earmuffs for your brother? You did it? Okay, cool. I don't know where the fuck he copy and pasted like all of this email from. Lev did not write this email. He didn't write this email. I think somebody maybe prompted him, or like he prompted somebody else, like, what makes a person old? And he went on ChatGPT or like DeepSeek or some shit like that. Lev doesn't know about DeepSeek. Yeah, Lev, don't use DeepSeek. I don't want you to. He wrote, gerontologists recognize that people experience very different conditions as they approach an old age, and that some define subgroups within the 65 plus population. Some studies distinguish between young and old. He's just asking. I'm not going to read all this because, again, Lev, you didn't write this email. Lev, you have to write the email. You cannot let ChatGPT write your emails by asking what makes a person old. There's no way an 11-year-old wrote this because I've read your other emails, brother. I know how you type. You didn't even say, I was going to say you did not say at the end, have a rizful day, which is how you typically sign off. You said, hope you have a slay day. I guess at the end here, you said, when I see a person who is 60 in my head, I'm like, they're not so old, but old enough that in my head they could be, what are you talking about? I don't know half of the words that you used in this, and I'm not going to try to pronounce. Lev, I don't know what they're teaching you at school. Either you are too smart for your own damn good, and even I have no idea what you're talking about, or you need to stop using ChatGPT. It needs to be, because it cannot be both. It can't be both. They can't be teaching you really well, and then also you're using ChatGPT. It can only be one of them. Akiva your older brother needs to email me, or Lev, you can do it and confess that you did not write this fucking email, because sorry, I didn't say to do earmuffs. He's 11. I don't think he wrote this email. I'll get lawyer Tom on your ass, but bro, I need to stop. He's a kid. Stop swearing. What makes a person old? I kind of have an answer for this. I was talking to my grandparents the other day on the phone, maybe like a week or two ago. And I asked them something. I'm like, you guys are like, in your upper 70s. We're talking about 80 years old for my grandparents. And I said to them, I was like, I don't know how to ask you this, but I was like, you guys, I've said this before on the show, my grandparents are like, quote unquote, old in the conventional sense that if you heard that they were 80 years old, you'd be like, that's an old person. They're not, though. It's weird. They don't do old people stuff. They don't. And to emphasize that point, what I asked them, I was like, you guys don't do bingo. I go, you guys are at an age where you would do bingo. And my grandma was just disgusted. She hates bingo. She can't stand bingo. Pop, my grandpa, he's never going to play, but he doesn't care about bingo. He wants to throw horseshoes. That's all he wants to do, right? My grandma playing bingo, she's like, I did it one time and I'll never do it again. So like, they may be quote unquote old, but they're not bingo old. You know what I mean? And there's a different, well, technically again, they are, but it's like, that's what I mean is they don't do old people shit. They just are like, they just are at an age that you would consider somebody old, but they are very youthful in the way that they speak and the way that they act. And I don't know what makes a person old. I think it is like a mentality thing. And I think it very much is like the way that you, your personality and the way that you carry yourself. I don't think it is an age thing. I think it is very much like just you as a, because if you're 57 years old and you're going to bingo, old, you're old. That's what it is. Bingo. Yeah. Oh no, that's a good, I nailed it. This is the take. You're old when you start doing bingo. How about that? The minute that you sit down and you hear a 76-year-old woman say G46 and your ass stands up, bingo, old person. How do you like that, Lev? Like, bingo's fun. I'm not saying you can't be 25 and go to a bingo night. You know exactly what I'm talking about here, though, right? copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description wherever it is that you listen to this program. I mean, you don't do a show for a week, and there are just so many emails, and guys, I gotta be honest with you, a lot of you guys sent in good emails this week, and they're not gonna get read. There's too much. We're 45 minutes into today's show. There's no fucking way. What am I supposed to do? Read every single email? I can't do it. So I have to really, really try to figure out This is not good podcasting. I'm trying so hard to figure out which email I want to read, but there's so many of them, and I'm just kind of sitting here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to my notes. And I'm going to say I'm not doing any emails. Because I don't know. I highlighted all of them, and I should have done a better job figuring out which ones I wanted to definitively do. You guys want to do a little bit of golf? Is that okay? You guys want to do a little golf segment really quick? The Masters just wrapped up. Rory McIlroy does it. He wins the Masters. He's been in it. This is his 17th time in the Masters. He's 35 years old. So as soon as the kid was able to, I don't know, what do you have to be in Northern Ireland? That's where he's from. You're 18 in Northern Ireland. Is that drinking? Can you drink as an 18-year-old in Ireland? Northern Ireland, I should say. Surely you can at 18. He finally did it. 10 years waiting for the career Grand Slam. And goddamn, man, it's been a few years since I've had the Masters on every single day, over the weekend. Was it 4 days? I think the last time I did it was, when did Tiger win? 2019? Was it 18 or 19? That was the last time that I truly locked into the Masters. And this year, between Maddie being out of town and me not having anything to do, really, and just watch some golf. I watched from the start of the broadcast to the end of the broadcast every single day. I watched so much golf this week. And if I can be honest with you, it was one of the first moments that my son will be a year old in 2 weeks. And it was legit one of the first times that I was like, holy shit, I'm a dad. I fell asleep on the couch on Saturday and on Sunday watching golf while Maddie just hung out with her. It was the most like, I'm a dad. This is what dads do. This is fatherhood. You fall asleep on a Sunday watching some golf. It's 2:30 and you're like, oh, man, I've been up since 5. Oh, I'm going to take a little nap. And then when I wake up, Rory and Bryson DeChambeau are 2 holes later, right? It just works. It felt so good, right? And then also watching parents out there, specifically fathers probably, but I'll just say parents. Have you had that moment where you catch yourself watching a major sporting event that you have watched your entire life, and then suddenly you're watching it with your kid and you're like, holy shit. You're like, whoa. We did it for the entire NFL season with the Lions. He was asleep during the Super Bowl. I'm watching the Masters with my son in my lap. He's just hanging out. We're just doing a little bit of snuggle time. And I was like, I had this moment where I was like, whoa, this is my kid. I've watched the Masters my whole life, and I'm watching it right now as a 26-year-old man. And I have a year-old son sitting in my lap and watching the Masters. It was a very, very bizarre feeling. But the problem is that I watched so much golf this weekend that I could not tell you. I cannot do like a recapping the moment-by-moment thing, especially because this Sunday was such an up-and-down, bizarro round of golf that we saw. I don't think that I've ever seen a man have a panic attack for 4 hours and then still do the thing that he was trying to do. Like, very successfully does it. Rory McIlroy, after the first hole, there's a 2-shot swing immediately. Double bogey, hole 1. And you're like, no way. This guy has spent his entire career just like choking shit away inexplicably. There's just no way it's going to happen to the biggest asshole in golf, Bryson DeChambeau. There's literally no way, right? And so, I don't know. It's a couple moments. Bryson sucked today. It felt great. Rory went in the water. Was it 13 that he went in the water? And I just looked at my girlfriend. I was like, fuck. There it goes. He's doing it again. It's literally happening right now. I'm not a body language guy, but I'm watching him this whole time. And I'm like, you're freaking the fuck out. There's no way you're going to pull this off. But he just did. He just did. And you have this moment at the end and in the playoff that they did. He does it, man. He lands it. I'm bearing the lead on the putt that he fucking smoked on the 18th. That would have mitigated the reason to even have a playoff in the first place. Whatever. Okay, so he hits the putt to win the Masters. And it's one of those events, those sporting events, that when you watch somebody win, it's impossible not to sort of be overtaken by the emotions of the moment. And watching that There's something to be said about watching that weight get lifted off of somebody's shoulders, and you've got over the mountain, right? You finally did it. You've spent seemingly your entire life waiting for this exact moment, and the relief that you finally did it. You've reached the summit. I've done it. That happened for Rory McIlroy in a very raw way, and watching that unfold and those emotions just pouring out of him, and it's truly watching somebody win the Masters, authenticity at its finest. And I gotta say, Jim Nantz. Oh my God, Jim Nantz, folks, he's so good. Jim Nantz is the narrator. He is the ultimate narrator. I did think it was funny that he spent, I mean, what? We just said Rory was having a fucking panic attack. He was melting down for 4 hours and somehow still pulled it off. The last 45 minutes of the broadcast, Nantz is acting like Rory's got one arm in the jacket already. And he's talking about, and his family sacrificed a lot for him in Northern Ireland, and they sent him around the world to try to get him to... He's telling his damn life story. I'm like, Jim, I don't know, Jim. He's smoking this right now. Are you watching the same round of golf that I'm watching? I don't know if he's going to do this. But Jim is like, he's going to do this. And then guess what? He fucking did it. Because Jim Nantz knows. And watching somebody who just appreciates the pageant, I was on such a roll. The pageantry of the Masters and what it means, like as an institution, what the Masters is, and Jim Nantz respecting that and the romance that gets tied into it. And there's just nobody better. I got to tell you something, man. I spent all day being like, what is Jim Nantz's appearance fee? Because whatever it is, it's probably a lot of money. But I was like, I know you get a little bit of a discount if you do virtual appearances. If you at home had to ballpark Jim Nantz's appearance fee, what do you think it would be? For example, Sparty, the Michigan State mascot, I think you could get a virtual appearance from him for like $300. I don't know what the fuck that would be for. The guy can't even talk. You can get him in person for like, it's not that expensive. You can get him like $1,000 maybe for like 30 minutes. That's not that bad. Sparty. You can pay $1,000 for 30 minutes of Sparty. You're an asshole. Jim Nantz, the estimate that I got was somewhere between $75,000 and $150,000. 75 G's at a minimum for Jim Nantz, James Nantz. And it really killed my dream of being like, there's the idea. I crowdfund a Jim Nantz interview. I start the Patreon so that I can... Because I, for real, thought it was going to be like $5,000. I didn't think it was going to be that much money. And I was like, I will raise $5,000 just to have an hour-long interview with Jim Nantz on the show. I will never need to do anything else for the rest of my life. I carry so much love and emotion for that man, for somebody who I will never meet in my entire life, because I think his narration is so important and is such an integral piece of sports and the way that I consume it and just the love that I have for it. I think Jim Nantz is the best. I'm not spending $75,000 on that, though. I can't do that. I can't do it. Dog, we paid... I don't want to throw the figure out there. I know how much, when we did the interview with Cade, I know how much he got paid. It was not $75,000, if not more than that. I'm not mad at you, Jim. Like, get your bread, brother. But who you know what I mean? Like, who's really gonna... Is it maybe a commencement speech? Someone would shell out that kind of money. You want Jim Nantz to MC a private event? Oh my God. Could you imagine Jim Nantz MCing a wedding? MCing a wedding. What does that even look like? Whoa! I almost just teared up. Jim Nantz. Is he ordained? I'm going to cry for real. Is Jim Nantz ordained? I need to get it together or like cut this out or something. I'm not being funny right now. If Jim Nantz married me to my betrothed. Could you imagine? I'm gonna go on to something else. I don't do the show for a week, and I completely forget how to just keep the show going and to just keep it moving along. What's another thing I wanted to talk about from my little list? Let's do a little bit of Leicester. I said to you guys a couple months ago that me picking my new Premier League team after Leicester gets relegated will be contingent on their schedule and who they even score a point against, right? If they can get 1 point, they get a draw against anybody. They don't have to beat them. 1 point from anybody. That's the team. That's who I have to root for, right? I was eventually going to be like, whoever they fucking score against. They went, 7 or 8 games in the Premier League without scoring once? It was like 2 total hours it was 12 hours. That math didn't make any goddamn sense. It was like 12 hours of just not scoring. That math doesn't make any sense either. It doesn't matter. They did not score for like 2 months, right? They haven't won a game since January 26th. And then they played Brighton. And what happened? Well, they did score. And then after that, they scored again. And they drew. They drew against Brighton. It happened. And a lot of you are going to be like, well, then there it is. That's who you're rooting for. Big Brighton guy over here. You can throw a flag on the play if you want to. I'm not fucking doing that. I'm not doing it. That's crazy. That's crazy. Because at least if I was convinced that they were going to beat or at least draw against United, and I was like, I don't know, at least I can stomach that. Shout out to Onana. He got pulled from the lineup against Newcastle. And I guess it has something to do with his wife being like brutally robbed like a month ago. Stole an Hermes bag and some bullshit. I guess he's just not in a good headspace. We've given Onana a lot of shit on this show. Keeper for Manchester United, but that sucks. I'm laughing. It sucks. That's not funny. It's not. So shout out to him. I'll stop being mean if we put a moratorium on being mean to Onana. I'm not rooting for Brighton. I'm not doing it. Unless I get a sales pitch that just blows me away. No, I mean, they're a blue team. Yep, that's it. I like João Pedro a lot, actually, and that's kind of what pissed me off about this game is Mads Hermansen can stop a Cole Palmer PK, but the second that it's João Pedro, Hermansen is like, he fucking can't stop it, and otherwise this game would have been a decisive victory for Leicester City. It was not, and so now I guess I have to root for Brighton, but that's not going to fucking happen, so I don't know. But then I'm also not a man of my word, and then I look like a not very nice man. So we'll see. We'll see what I end up doing there. Champions League. A lot of you guys sent in emails about Declan Rice. Yeah, shout out to Arsenal, and then also a reverse shout out to Villa. What did that score end up being? Aston Villa versus PSG first leg. I'm asking Siri. No, it was 3-1. I don't remember it being 3-1. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Didn't Rashford have... I'm not misremembering this, I don't think. Didn't Rashford have like a hockey assist where he wasn't the one that actually fit Tielemans? Was that the one who actually ended up getting the goal? No, it was Tielemans to Rodgers, I think is what it was, or maybe the other way around. Yeah, one of you guys tried to get in my ass, and I was like, oh, it's in the air for PSG this year, and I really think they're going to do it. I just think Kvaratskhelia had a goddamn goal in this game. I could not believe it. I might get his jersey. I love him so much. One of you guys were like, oh, Villa's going to have something for them. I'm still waiting for it. Where is it? Did it happen yet? Did I miss it in that game where they lost 3-1? Does Villa still have something for PSG? Or do they not anymore? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, Arsenal. Whoa. Declan Rice, 2 goals on free kicks with like the most absurd precision, like visceral reactions when these hit the back of the net. How the fuck did he make these? That's cool. That's kind of it, I guess. I don't know. Shout out to Declan Rice. It's been so many days since that game happened. Who even fucking cares anymore? What else do I got for you guys today? Oh, I don't want to leave you guys hanging on the whole another kid tried to kill Trump thing. that I said at the beginning of the episode. I don't know if you see this, you hear about this. So there was a kid in Wisconsin back in February who killed his mom and his stepfather. This is going to be kind of a crass story, by the way. So Akiva, if you want to hear about like murder plots and people killing their parents, if you don't want your brother to hear that, then maybe turn this one off. Or the guy who listens to the show with his mom. No, you guys are probably fine. Shout out to that guy's mom. Very, very kind of her to be as invested in her son's interests as she is. Talk about a superhero. For those of you who maybe don't know what I'm talking about, there was a guy who emailed like a week or two ago and was like, yeah, my mom listens to every show with me. I thought that was such a sweet thing. And so shout out to both of you guys. A kid in Wisconsin, he killed his mom and then he killed his stepdad. And then he left the bodies in the house for 12 days. They didn't get discovered for 12 days. Or he lived with them for 12 days. I don't know when they got discovered. And then when they finally found him, it was like 2 weeks later, he was in Kansas with his stepdad's car and $14,000. And he was intending to use the $14,000 he was going to invest it in like a marketing scheme that got President Trump killed. He was going to like fund a revolution. He was self-funding a revolution, not self-funding. He killed 2 people to get the money. He was going to fund a revolution to kill Donald Trump. And some of you out there might be like, oh, that's interesting. Hold on. And then at the end of it, I don't endorse anybody getting killed, by the way. And then at the end of it, he included to save the white race. Fuck. I thought that was such an interesting perspective on wanting to kill Donald Trump. Was you wanted to do it in the name of saving the white race. I don't know how old this kid was, and this is all coming from the FBI. And it honestly just kind of pissed me off. The whole thing pissed me off. $14,000. Is that enough to get people riled up to kill the president of the United States? Apparently it's not. It just bothers me because I don't know if we're going to find anything out about this kid. The truth is I'm probably never going to think about it again, and I'm never going to look it up again. And it's like he didn't actually get shots on the president, so it doesn't matter. It just still really bothers me that we don't know anything about the kid that tried to kill him, like for real tried to kill him. Why don't we know anything about him? Why? We know that there were like no electronics in his. I'm going to keep doing this. I do the same goddamn spiel every time I bring this kid up. So I guess maybe I just won't do it again. I just think it's weird that we don't know anything about him. And then every time I bring this up, there is a MAGA Jared, as some of you have liked to refer to him as, the Trump supporter Jared, who likes to email into the show. An important voice here at the show, by the way, because I think we need that balance. And even if I almost never agree with the shit that he says, as it relates to Trump specifically, I at least really appreciate the perspective because that's a real person that's living in the United States. And it's like, if we want to understand how we got to this point, even if we kind of already know, the people who will still go to bat for him, like what are they saying and what do they believe and why do they believe the things that they're saying? So I think Jared is an important voice here. Anytime that I ever bring up this kid, the conservative voices of the Coping Hour en masse will be like, it was the Democrats and it was a bad hit and you had your shot and you should have taken it and it didn't work. I just don't know if that's true. I still don't believe that that's true. I mean, clearly this was not just some kid. There's no fucking way this was just some kid, right? I just don't think that Dems would. I don't know. I guess if you consider the fact that the most mobilized voice for the quote-unquote Democratic Party, even though the person I'm about to mention is essentially an independent at this point, the most mobilized man in America against Donald Trump is like a fucking 80-year-old Bernie Sanders. The guy shows up at Coachella and does a 5-minute set while, I don't know, 20,000 people are on the craziest concoction of drugs that you could possibly fucking imagine. And he gets out there and he's like, I will not take long. We have a president right now. And everybody goes, boo. And he goes, I agree. And then he riffs, he does the same fight the oligarchy shit that he's been doing for 2 months. Whatever. This isn't about Bernie. I was saying this just to say, if they clearly have no idea, I don't care about this. I don't care. Folks, we've gotten all of the jokes out of the way for today's program. Man, I had a hard week. You guys want to get semi-real? We get a little bit real. Talk about some stuff, some feelings, some emotions. Yeah, so Maddie started a new job, and she had to go to Los Angeles for the week. And so that meant that I was on solo dad duties for the entire week, and I've never done that before. Obviously, I stay at home with him, every single day, and it is mostly just my life. But then, like at night, my girlfriend will come home, and then we split the duties. And so, like, especially overnight stuff, like when he wakes up in the middle of the night, like it's both of us, we take turns doing it, whatever. But a whole week of taking care of an 11-month-old, almost a 12-month-old. There was literally zero chance I was going to get a show in the can. I mean, I still haven't recovered from it because I haven't been sleeping at fucking all, because I don't know what it sent me into, man. Oh, it was hard. It's really hard, but I did it. And every day we would FaceTime her, and I would always say to her, I go, what are 2 words that you would describe the way that our son looks right now? And she would be like, I don't know, happy and healthy. Those are the words that I'm looking for. Because guess what? By the time she got home, he was happy. He was healthy. He was a lot better at eating, like, quote unquote, real food and not just milk and formula, because that's what dad was making him eat all week. He took some baths. He's really good at walking now. He's starting to get good at, like, bending down and picking shit up. That's because his dad spent the whole week teaching him that shit. Now, the problem is that when you are taking care of a child by yourself for an entire week, you're not going to sleep at all, period. You're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. That's the part that I had a really hard time with, was sleeping for 2 hours a night, because he either wouldn't go back to sleep, a myriad of things. You parents out there, man, My brother had the audacity to text me. One day he texted me something stupid on, like, Thursday. And I corrected him, and I was like, you're dumb. And he was like, sorry, like, I have to pack for a flight to New Orleans to go to a bachelor party, and I only slept for, like, 5 hours last night. I was like, bitch, I've slept for 5 hours this week. Shut up. I think I worded it a lot nicer than that. It just bothered me a lot. Because even if it's valid that you're sleepy, you said it to the wrong person. You can't say that to me. My brother also just recently learned that the show is on. He thought it was only on YouTube. I was like, no, it's on Spotify and it's on Apple Podcasts. And Matthew, he might be listening to this. He might be listening to this one. It'd be a tough first episode for him to listen to, is the one where I just start ripping into him an hour plus into the show. But Matthew, if you are listening to this, it bothered me that you said that. You were saying it to the wrong man. What else happened in the last week? It was just, man, it's because it's hard, because you just, like, you get such a different perspective on parenting the whole week. It's like, literally, if I don't do everything, this kid there will be a problem. I don't want to say what I was going to say, but you know what I was going to say. There will be a problem if I don't do literally everything. And so that weight was hard for me. And it's not like I have to be convinced that I need to take care of my kid, but it's just so, like, it just gave me a lot of perspective on single parents, honestly. Because it's one thing to do that for a week. It's a completely different thing to do that for your entire, like, life as a parent. And my sister experienced that a lot, where she would be raising, 1 or 2 or now 3 kids, and, like, it's just her. And once, your oldest kids are, they get to a certain age, they can start to help a little bit with the younger ones, but it's still, those kids are still 9 years old. So they're still kids. It's just a completely different challenge. And man, as single parents, you want to talk about superheroes, dude. Oh, and then I think it just sent me into such a funk, to a point where I was like, I'm not doing the show today. Like today, like right now, I was like, I'm not doing the show. I don't fucking care anymore. But the truth is that if I didn't do today's show, I was probably never going to do it again. Because I knew that if I let myself take one more show, not that I let myself take last week off, by the way. I tried to record on Monday. This is something I didn't even say. I had like 8 different segments that I recorded. Like if I had a little something on something and my son was asleep, I would sit down for 8 minutes and I would tape it and I'd stop. And my plan was by the end of the week to just paste it all together. It ended up being way too incoherent and way too manic. And like I was all over the place. Right. So that's never going to see the light of day. But I don't even remember why I was talking about this. Oh, that was just going to say like, cause that was me trying to keep the gears spinning a little bit. Cause I knew that if I didn't do today's show, I was just going to be like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'm never doing the show again and nobody's ever going to hear from me again. Kind of been in one of those funks lately. So I've said that I think before, that if one day that I don't say anything about there not being a show, but there's not a show, it's probably because there's never going to be another one again. There's a non-zero chance. There is always a non-zero chance with this show that at any given moment I could snap and it's done. And it's just sort of like it's like Russian roulette style. Not really, but with the show. Is this going to be the one that's it? Is this the last one? I don't think this one is. Not with the Pistons in the playoffs, at least. But all right, folks. Spotify listeners, what's up? Nope, not asking you what's up. Spotify listeners, how close do you feel that you are to living your dreams? How far into that are you? Do you feel you've gotten there? Yeah. How many years do you have left until you're living your dreams? Apple Podcasts, what's up? What's up? If you are watching this on YouTube, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, nice little comment for the algorithm. Make sure to keep primary control in check. And I will catch you guys in the next one.